That's where that bogus version of femininity that they promote to y'all goes out the door. You have to be aggressive. You have to have some audacity to have a soft life, to protect the aesthetic that it is that you're trying to build. Have you ever seen a woman who was just different? She was just very magnetic. She knew how to command a room. It seemed like everybody was in competition to just get a chance at having her attention. She knows how to laugh, style herself. She has a nice body. She knows how to take a compliment when someone says, "I love your dress." She simply says, "Thank you," graciously, and provides a warm smile. Have you ever noticed that type of woman? Well, I know I have, and I have been her in various rooms and on various occasions. And it's easy to think that, oh, if I could just, have her body, or if I could just have her look, or if I could just do my makeup like this, then, my life would be better. And partially that could be true, but the truth of the matter is you'll never be able to be another woman. So the best thing that you can do is just focus on yourself. And I know people say that a lot, and we hear it, and it's just like, okay, I already know that, focus on myself. But like, what does that actually mean? What does that entail? And that is what we are going to dive into this video today, because the difference between the women that really just have that, effect about themselves, that allure, that just have that got it going on quality, is truly that they are inward focused and they tune out the noise in this outwardly focused world. So if you are ready to dive in on how to define yourself, focus on yourself to step into your next level of elevated womanhood, then you are in the right place. To all my subbies, welcome back. Over here, we are a fragrance loving family, and you are never fully dressed without a fragrance. So I'm going to give y'all my fragrance combination of the day. Today, my mantra for the past couple of years has been smell good and elevate. So for this Womanhood Mastery series, I am going to be sharing that mantra with you all. So fragrance of the day, first off, we're Brown Sugar Babes over here. So I went in with the Rebirth oil from Brown Sugar Babe, which is the rendition of Temps Blanc. It is a beautiful, just very lifted and elevated with a slightly sweet smell to it. It's got some citrus notes, some sandalwood, I believe that is in here. And I actually partnered it with Lift Me Up from the House of Initio. This is a vanillic, creamy fragrance with a very lifted vibe because it has a burst of bergamot. So I've already gone to the mailbox to check my mail today, and my neighbor said, "Wow, you smell good." So there you have it. This is our signature woman series on how to become a signature woman. The other day we focused on a signature scent and how to pick that, and how much of a finishing detail and finishing touch it can add to a woman's look. And today we are going to actually focus on the look, the aesthetic, the mindset. What does it entail about being a signature woman? And first and foremost is that she has made a decision and she's sticking to it. And that doesn't mean that she doesn't leave room for like whimsy or a change of heart or a change of mind. However, when it comes to how she wants to present herself, how she wants to show up in the world, how she wants to, present and then in return be received, she has, decided this is the way that it's going to be. So everything else is going to have to fall in line around that. Now, this doesn't have to be hard, but when we see a woman who just has this effortless vibe, it's pretty much because she has done effort to give herself an autopilot type of life. I've talked about that, how I put my style on autopilot so I don't have to think about it. I do have a capsule wardrobe. I am the type of person that, will dress in neutrals. I have go-to hairstyle. I have a go-to makeup look that I can do in literally 15 minutes or less. I keep my nails groomed so I don't have to worry about it. I prefer to get a manicure and get it done every 2 to 3 weeks. That's not necessary as long as you keep your nails clean, well manicured. You can do a clear coat. You can do a, nice polish of a color as long as your nails are looking nice and presentable. And then when it comes to like your mental health, your hygiene, you have to leave space for yourself to be yourself in life. And a lot of that is very simple. It comes down to, saying no to people, saying no to some things in order to, you know, take back some of your time. It comes with not overscheduling yourself, not thinking that you have to do every single activity under the sun with your friends, or, you know, with your child, or with your, you know, coworkers after work just because they ask you to. It's about, you know, how are you going to be able to do the things that you want to do, provide care to yourself, if you don't have any time to actually care for yourself. Having a polished, put together, memorable, and magnetic look is one of the highest forms of self-mastery a woman can achieve, and don't ever let anybody convince you that it is vain. And that is why we are always inundated with images of, you know, icons, celebrities. People go out of their way to hire teams to put together, you know, styles that can be emulated, that can be desired, that can be sought after by people, that grab people and pull their attention in. So I think we know the multi-billion-dollar industry that, you know, image plays in this world. So why can't the everyday woman, you know, put that type of effort into herself to give herself that type of magnetism to get the best out of her life? So one of the main takeaways also too is it is not vanity, it is self-mastery to put effort and, you know, have an indication that you know who you are by the way you show up, and your look is a representation of that. So yes, ladies, and this does not have to be so hard. It doesn't have to be rocket science. Me, I'm a cold turkey type of person. If I think one way one day and think another way the next day, that's just what it is. So be it, because I'm gonna live my life. So what I did when I had to, you know, glow up and rebrand, I literally went from wearing biker shorts and a t-shirt every day to the next day I took myself to TJ Maxx. I bought a bunch of dresses, a bunch of skirts that I could afford, because I think I was maybe like 24 years old. I just turned 24 at the time. And so I did what I could. I did what I could afford. And I've been literally since that day showing up the way that I show up ever since, against, you know, people bullying me, people trying to call me out, people asking me, you know, who do I think I am, from the slick stuff of like, oh, why are you all dressed up, or oh, where are you going looking like that? So, you know, I get everything in what it comes with, and that's just going to be personal. You're going to have to decide, you know, whether you're able to, you know, weather that or not, because sometimes it can be annoying, sometimes it can be a lot, and that's where that bogus version of femininity that they promote to y'all goes out the door. You have to be aggressive. You have to have some audacity to have a soft life, to protect the aesthetic that it is that you're trying to build. This isn't about just like, oh, I put on some clothes, I walk around, I act dainty and speak in a soft voice to men. For what? I'm not saying, you know, be confrontational or anything like that with people. And yes, there is some softening around the edges once you get into your femininity, once you realize you can woo-saw, once you practice the idea of showing up as you want to show up. The next thing you're going to learn is putting yourself in the environments that respect the way that you show up, because that's a big dissonance as well of why women have a hard time of sticking to their level up or even leveling up in the first place, is because you're leveling up on the outside, but you haven't changed your environment. So you're going to be constantly subjected to attacks. So then you're going to have to remove yourself from those environments. You're going to have to seek higher and more elevated environments where everybody feels better about themselves. So it's not a problem that you feel better about yourself and you want to show up accordingly. So, you know, that too, it also goes hand in hand, but you are not just trying to get your look together so you can be in people's faces and be in rooms and talk in a soft voice and be agreeable and provide people subsidies that they haven't earned. That's not femininity. So I want to get that clear, you know, right now, because I remember somebody was telling me, oh, you're so feminine, you're like a soft life girly. And like, I get it, what they're trying to say, but then also no, like, yes, but no. As a woman, you should view yourself as your greatest hobby and your greatest endeavor that you have in your life. Not in a nitpicky way to say that there's always something that, you know, needs to be done, but, you know, self-improvement is a real thing that can be groundbreaking in your life, and it can advance you and help you go to the next level. And that includes the way that you look, the way that you present yourself, your style, and your dress. And okay, for the people who are like, I shouldn't have to, leave. Now, this is not that type of video, because we already know the type of world that we live in. We already know it's a shallow society. We already know all the things. that you shouldn't have to do to be accepted. However, this is what it is. So what are you going to do? And that is the premise of this video. Like, how are you going to take yourself and the self that you want to be, the self that you see yourself being, and how are you going to take the steps, put one foot in front of the other to finally start to be that version of yourself, with tuning out the noise, without getting in your own way, and then also without letting other people get in your way as well. And I'm going to answer the question for you because I am here to help. So how you're going to do that is by giving yourself permission. Full stop. You don't have to look to the left, look to the right, worry about, what your friend is going to think, what your coworkers are going to think, what your mom or your dad or your aunties are going to think. You have to make a decision to say, at what point am I going to allow myself to be the self that I truly want to be? And then just be that self. And I know it sounds, again, so gimmicky, like you can start today. Your greatest self is around the corner, but it is so true. Number one, we blame other people and we focus on the outward, but it's really all about us and how much we are willing to, stand up for ourselves and stand in our power and own what it is that we really want for our life. So then you have to ask yourself, am I the type of person that lets outside forces, other people's opinions, whatever the case is, dictate, why or why not I'm going to show up as my best self? Is that the type of person that, I want to be? That's going to be a yes or no question for you to answer. But for many of us, I think we will answer that question as no. You want to be an autonomous person. You want to be a confident person. You want to feel good in every room that you walk into. When you wake up in the morning, you want to be feeling comfortable in your body. You want to have clear skin. You want your clothes to fit right. You want to, feel and present yourself in the most beautiful and authentic way that you can. So it's not even about, catching an aesthetic or following a trend or, doing a silly version of performative femininity. No, it's literally just about saying this is where I am and this is where I want to be. So when am I going to allow myself to be that, and what steps do I have to take? So I'm going to say it. We're 25, we're 35, we're 45, we're 55. You should have a sense of yourself in terms of your style, in terms of your hair, in terms of your skincare, in terms of your exercise and your, workout regime, in terms of your likes, your dislikes, your interests, your yeses and your nos. And a lot of times, because we're expected to give so much as women, we don't have time to make ourselves our greatest hobby. But the, caveat to that is you have to make space for your own desires in your own life. Okay, so if you constantly worried about what your friends got going on, or if you are the number one person every family member calls anytime they need somebody to, watch the kids or do something like that, and you always are in a rush because you feel like you don't deserve to take the time to, put your hair together, put your makeup on, style an outfit that makes you feel good, put on a dress, do something. You show up everywhere looking very capable. You look very willing and able, like you're, ready to lend a helping hand. And that's not to say not to be, helpful to the people that you love or that you care for or that deserve it, but also too, the effort that you do or don't put into yourself, it communicates what you are available for. Okay, so it's easy for us to be like, oh, she dressed like this, her skirt is short, her dress is down here, she got her cleavage from here to Mexico, and say, oh, well, she's looking for this, she's looking for that. It's easy for us to point to those examples and be like, oh, okay, she trying to get somebody's attention. But when you come showing up all the time in a leggings and a t-shirt type of vibe, then what is it that you're communicating? Are you communicating that, hey, I feel my best today and I'm ready for, what life in the world has to offer? Or are you communicating, hey, Cindy, how you doing? Can you go in the back and get that cooler and, bring the sodas up to the front? Which one are you communicating? So now to the point, Kiya, I get it. I need to be doing this. I need to have my look together. I need to have my fashions coordinated. I know, I put on a few pounds that I need to lose, but, what do I do? How do I get to, be feeling like the best version of myself? How do I get to, consistently present myself in a way that I feel proud of, which translates into the lifestyle that I want, the response that I want, more motivation for myself? I got you. Okay, so the woman that has it together that presentation and is able to show up in a consistent way, it's a result of priority and practice. Okay, so you have to prioritize what it is that you need to do. My advice would be, start with one thing. Start with the most thing that is important or sticks out to you. If it's, your look, start with that. If it's your skin and you need to clear your skin up, go down a deep dive rabbit hole of, skincare. Do the, natural remedies. Do the medicated research to understand what you need to do to clear up your skin. Go on Pinterest, look up lookbooks, look up, different types of fashion so you can see how you might see yourself in the different, fashions and way of dressing in a way that is sustainable for you to show up, every single day. If it's a hairstyle type of a situation, go and say, okay, I want to give this look. This is what I want to give. I'm a jazzy type of lady. So I need me like a cute little Robert. I don't want a bob. I want something a little bit like semi-long, touching the shoulders or maybe just above, because this is the type of vibe that I want to give. Pin it, baby, and then book the hairstyle appointment, try it out, practice it, show up wearing that, because I know so many women that deprive themselves of the smallest things of wearing the type of hairstyle that they want, or wearing their nice clothes every day, or even just wearing their fragrances, which is why over here we always say you're never fully dressed without a fragrance. The things that you have are meant to be used, are meant to be enjoyed. So this is a part of having that magnetism. It's like we want other people to pour into us and give to us, but what are the things that we have even just around our home, our nice clothes, our nice fragrances, our nice makeup, or whatever the case is, that we deprive ourselves from, yet we go into the world expecting the best treatment when we don't even allow ourselves to treat ourselves to the own stuff that we bought. How crazy is that? So once you've pinpointed and prioritized what it is that you need to do, make a list. If maybe you got all things to hit. I went through a whole, rebrand, reinventing myself, and I have it written out, the detailed plan. I'm actually going through it right now, rereading my own ebook that I wrote. It's called The Adult Girl Diaries, available at theoctobersong.com, which is my brand and my website. And of course, I'm going to tell y'all about the ebook because it is good. I actually grew a community to about 10,000 followers on TikTok, talking about these very topics, back in the day. But TikTok, that's not my favorite platform. But, I was selling my ebook and so many women resonated at the time, because what the ebook talks about is all of this can be mitigated or remedied. All of the distance from ourselves that we feel, all of the dissonance from acting and being who we want to be, it all stems from not stepping into womanhood. And I know a lot of women might think, oh, well, I'm 30, I'm a woman. I'm 40, I'm a woman. I'm 50, I'm a woman. In fact, you are, but mentally, because of the society that we live in and the conditioning, women are not really given the right to actually be a woman and told anymore what that entails. So a lot of us are going through lives as perpetual teenage girls, waiting for the next person to tell us what to do, waiting for the next person to tell us who to be. And the difference between the woman who has it figured out is that she's figured out that she's gonna have to, step into her womanhood. She's going to have to make her own decisions for herself. She's going to have to own her desires and really, have some authority about acting them out. So this is what I detail in the ebook. And, I used to promote it. I don't promote it anymore because what I shared is I wrote that ebook for my daughter. I don't have any children yet, but when I was going through my journey of figuring out who I wanted to be, deciding what kind of woman that I wanted to be, nobody was really there for me. Nobody was able to tell me, how do you see a vision of yourself and then become it? I had to figure all of that out on my own through trial and error. All of this type of stuff that we're discussing right now, it can be very nerve-wracking. It could be very embarrassing and very shameful to some people that, yeah, I am, 30 years old, or I am 40 years old or 50 years old, and I still don't know what path to take, or I still feel unsure about myself, or I still feel nervous, to show up wearing a dress because I don't want to hear, people's comments of what they're gonna say. And I don't want to hear people saying, oh, where are you going? Or this and that. So it can be very, embarrassing to try or to be seen trying. And I get that. And what I said is I will be damned if I let my child, my baby, go through that type of feeling. Baby, we already did the, the period, the puberty, the awkward stage, the growth spurts. You are going to blossom into your womanhood gracefully if I have anything to do with it. So yes, I sat down, I was introspective, I wrote a guide for myself and for my future daughter, and it is very good. So if you are interested in rebranding yourself, reinventing yourself, defining your womanhood, understanding what your values and things like that are, I strongly do recommend that you go ahead and check out the Adult Girl Diaries workbook ebook. Okay, so I will have that link. So my mom always said, you can't really make time, you have to take time. So this is where the homework comes in. I want us all to take time and say, how do I want my hair to look? And then figure out, how do I maintain that? Okay. How do I want my makeup to look? And then figure out, how do I maintain that? How do I want to show up? How do I want to dress? How do I want to present myself with my style? And then how do I maintain that? This is the most simple, basic formula to break it down into how you are going to become a signature woman. Because the difference between, somebody who just dresses up when they can or dresses up for an occasion and somebody who always is on point, is always looking put together, is they have figured out a way to sustain the look of what it is that they're going for. So it's just going to take time. Like, it could take you 1 hour to think of all of these things. What is the body that I want? How am I going to achieve that? And then how am I going to maintain that? Okay. So a lot of times when we see a woman that looks, very effortless, she has put in some level of effort. Okay. There has to be some level of rigor to get yourself to where you want to be. But the way I'm trying to, get y'all to see it is break it down into bite-sized chunks. If, you can't keep your hair maintained, is it a financial reason? Is it for, time reasons? Is it because you start to feel like lazy, like you don't want to do your hair? Once you make that a priority, then you can retrace your steps and say, okay, well, I need to cut out this, I need to cut out this, I need to cut out that, so that I can afford it, so that I can have the time, so that I can have the energy to do my hair. You see what I'm saying? If you have the look in mind that you want to go for, and it's like, okay, sometimes I want to wear it on this day, but when I go here, I don't really want to wear that. So then I default to, wearing my sweatpants again. So is it a mindset thing that you feel out of place? Is it genuinely inappropriate to, wear a skirt or a dress to the place that you're going to? Like, let's think about what are the holdups and the stops. Once we've already decided what it is that we want to do, then figure out, well, what's keeping us from, doing it, or keeping us from sustaining it from a longer period of time. If you can go a month with keeping your hair done and then all of a sudden your hair is not done, or you can go, a month with dressing up and then all of a sudden you don't want to dress up anymore, or you get around certain people, those are your steps to retrace and figure out how to mitigate those things so that you can stay the course and become a signature woman who shows up, who decides the first time. It's really that easy. It is really that simple, y'all. So all in all, a signature woman, she's going to show up with her values intact, and they are going to enter the room at the same time as she does, and she's going to take responsibility for, upholding them. She doesn't want to work against society. She doesn't waste her time, thinking about a coulda, shoulda, woulda, or how people ought to be. She puts herself strategically in the best position at all times to get the best out of life, and that includes showing up with a presentation, that is authentic to herself, but also gets her the response that it is that she's looking for. So let me know, y'all, are y'all interested in being a signature woman? Do you dress up every day? Do you have a signature style, a signature aesthetic, a signature look? Is it a hump that you're needing to get over, or is it something that you're comfortable in, that you're practicing, and maybe you have some tips that you can share with us or other ladies in the comments down below? We really would like to know. But overall, thank you for tuning into this video. Please don't forget to give me a like, subscribe to my channel so you can continue on this journey of our womanhood series. Give me a comment down below, and I will catch y'all in my next video. Bye.